We trust our iPhones with basically everything, right? I mean, private messages, bank details, all our photos. It's our entire digital life sitting in one little device. But have you ever actually stopped and wondered what's really protecting all that stuff? Well, the story of how the iPhone went from being surprisingly easy to hack to the digital fortress it is today, it's a wild ride. And we're going to break it all down.
No, really, think about it. That phone in your hand right now, what is actually standing between all of your most sensitive data and someone who wants to get at it? Because let me tell you, the answer to that question has changed a lot over the years.
See, it's pretty hard to imagine now, but the very first iPhones, they were surprisingly vulnerable. Hacking one didn't require some elite team of spies. In some cases, it was shockingly simple. So what we're really talking about here is a complete security transformation built from the silicon up. Okay, so to really get the whole picture, we're going to walk through 5 key chapters. We'll start with the insecure early days, then get into the security arms race that followed. After that, we'll see how hardware really changed the game, look at the layered defenses of today, and finally, unpack the hardware-software advantage that Apple has. All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the insecure early days. And yeah, Wild West is the perfect way to describe it. So get this. Back in the early days, you could literally go to a website called Jailbreak Me on your iPhone's browser, swipe a little slider on the screen, and boom, that's it. Your phone was completely open. We're talking full control. And a huge reason this was even possible is that for the first 5 years of its life, the iPhone was missing a super basic fundamental security feature called ASLR. So you're probably asking, what on earth is ASLR? Well, imagine a hacker is trying to break into a house, and to do that, they need a map of where everything is. ASLR is like magically rearranging all the furniture and even the walls inside that house every single time someone tries to open the door. The hacker's map is suddenly totally useless, right? They're just stumbling around in the dark. Without ASLR, the furniture inside your iPhone's memory was always in the exact same predictable place. It was just a sitting duck.
Okay, so as the iPhone just exploded in popularity, Apple pretty quickly realized they had a huge problem. So starting around 2014, they got really serious about security. And this kicked off an incredible, high-stakes arms race between Apple and a very clever community of hackers.
And it really was a constant cat-and-mouse game. I mean, Apple would introduce some new protection, build a higher wall, and almost immediately, the jailbreak community would find some brilliant way to get around it. You had Apple's engineers trying to lock everything down to protect user data, and the hackers who were just as determined to bypass all of it. So one of Apple's first big moves in this fight was something called Kernel Patch Protector, or KPP. The idea was actually pretty clever. Think of it like a digital security guard whose only job is to watch the absolute core of the operating system, the kernel. If any unauthorized code tried to mess with it, KPP would just shut the whole phone down. It was a great idea in theory, but it was just software, and it didn't take long for hackers to find a way to get around it.
This is where Apple's strategy really changed. They realized they couldn't just fight software with more software. So with the A10 chip in the iPhone 7, they built the security right into the silicon. This new system, KTRR, was totally different. When the phone boots up, it uses special hardware to put a permanent, unbreakable lock on the kernel's code. This lock can't be undone until the next reboot. So any attempt to write to that protected area, the whole system just panics and reboots. It basically made a whole class of old hacking methods useless, just overnight.
But even that was just the beginning. The real revolution, the moment that truly changed everything, was when Apple went a step further, making security a fundamental part of the chip design from the ground up. And that brings us to this, the A12 chip. This thing revolutionized iPhone security. Seriously. The chip that came on the iPhone XS was probably the single biggest leap forward in the entire history of the platform's security. It wasn't just a small step up, it was a complete reinvention.
So why was it such a big deal? Well, for one, the A12 introduced an incredible feature called Pointer Authentication Codes, or PAC. Let me try an analogy. Imagine your phone's memory is like a city, and pointers are the street signs that tell the computer where to go next. What PAC does is it puts a unique, unbreakable cryptographic signature on every single one of those street signs. So if a hacker tries to corrupt a pointer and change the sign to make it point somewhere malicious, that signature becomes invalid, and the hardware itself just stops the attack dead in its tracks. This one feature completely wiped out entire categories of common exploits.
And that's not all the A12 did. It also introduced something called the Page Protection Layer, or PPL. A lot of security experts describe this as a kernel inside the kernel. Basically, you can think of it like a maximum security vault built right into the hardware deep inside the phone's core. Only a tiny, super trusted piece of code running from inside this vault has the keys to perform the most sensitive tasks, like, say, modifying the system's memory map. For an attacker, it's pretty much untouchable.
So, with this incredibly strong hardware foundation now locked in, Apple could start building even higher walls on top of it. They started adding layer after layer of really smart software defenses, creating this deep, overlapping security model that we have in our iPhones today. And this layered approach makes a hacker's job just so much harder. It's not about finding one bug to get in anymore. Now they have to string together a whole chain of them. For instance, apps can't even talk directly to the kernel. They have to go through these secure middlemen processes. The memory is hardened even more. And for people who might be specifically targeted, like journalists, there are even more extreme options like lockdown mode and newer hardware features that can catch memory bugs as they happen.
Yeah, lockdown mode is a really great example of this. It's basically a trade-off you, the user, can make. Do you want maximum convenience or maximum security? So, for example, it disables a feature that makes web browsing faster because that same feature is a common attack vector. It turns off iMessage previews because that can be an entry point for zero-click exploits. It's all about shutting down potential avenues of attack, even if it means giving up a few creature comforts.
So when you look at this whole journey from a device that was super easy to hack to this digital fortress, what's the secret sauce? What's the one thing that really sets the iPhone's security apart? Well, it's not just one single feature. It's about a core philosophy. And it really all comes down to this one simple fact. Apple's single biggest strength is that they control everything, the hardware and the software. They design the chip, they write the operating system, they put it all together. It's one seamless, secure system by design.
And that vertical integration, that end-to-end control, is precisely what lets them build these incredible proprietary hardware-backed features like PAC and PPL that we talked about. Because they own the whole stack, from the actual silicon all the way up to the apps, they can build in protections that are super deeply integrated, and they can roll them out consistently across hundreds of millions of phones. That's an advantage that's almost impossible for other platforms to replicate.
You know, this whole story shows a clear trend, right? We've gone from simple software patches to security being literally etched into the silicon of the chip. So it really makes you wonder, as the threats out there keep getting more and more sophisticated, what's the next big leap going to look like?
Well, I hope you found that breakdown of iPhone security interesting. If you like digging into the tech that shapes our world, definitely subscribe to Refreshing Tech for more simple and useful insights just like this one. Thanks for watching.